take quick take legislation to the spring session for 143rd Street, the reconstruction of that corridor. The proceeding is not about the merits of the project, as that was discussed in the phase one process, which culminated in a project development report. And it's also,
We can't hear you.
let's get a little closer. Is also not to talk about the particular impacts of the project to the individual properties. That will be handled by our negotiators that we have hired that will be talking to the properties in the very, very near future. They have probably actually already talked to a lot of the appraisers that have already done the work.
Excuse me, Jeff, can you talk louder, please? People can't hear.
Is there a way to turn up the speaker?
I did everything I can at this point, body wise.
Sure.
Eat the microphone. This is the action.
Yeah, I don't have any speaker control. I can lean right in there, get it closer. Doesn't like me today. All right, regarding quick take. We've discussed this as a committee a couple times, what that is. There was a memo on that in September for detail on that. But I'm going to go through quickly our normal land acquisition process so you can understand what quick take means. For the county, when we acquire a property, we first get a title report to define ownership of the property. We then develop plats and legals that define the area that the county needs to acquire to build a project. We then obtain appraisals that establish the land value for the part we are taking. And in the federal process, we also hire and get review appraisals. So it's looked at twice, as was in this case. And then we hire a negotiator to go out and meet with the property owners to discuss the impacts of the property and extend the county's offer. That happens regardless of whether we go for quick take or not. So all that has happened and is happening. And then from there, if a settlement cannot be reached between the county and the negotiator, then we go through eminent domain, which is our normal process, which essentially is going to court and working that out to come through a final judgment. If a settlement is not reached, we'll talk about that again. That process, normal eminent domain, can take up to 3 years in many cases, and then that delays the project significantly. It delays us getting the safety improvements out there, and it also increased costs because each year a delay is increased construction costs. Quick take itself is a different process, largely the same. All the court stuff happens. The only thing different is instead of the county obtaining the property at the very end of the process, so maybe 3 years later, the preliminary compensation amount is established up front. And then the county pays the property owner that amount established by the judge, oftentimes our appraisal, and then the county takes ownership of that property so that we can then proceed with the project. However, the rest of the court proceedings then continue on. If the property owner is not happy with that amount or thinks they're entitled to more, all the rest of the remaining court proceedings do happen. So they have the opportunity to go before a jury and work out a different settlement price. And then if it comes out being more, the county pays more at the end. But in this process, the property owner is paid up front and the county takes ownership up front. So that the difference is, quick take, we have to go to a state legislator every time, every single project. So to do that, we need county board approval to do that. And then we would do that in the spring if allowed by the county board. So that's what this discussion is about, as to whether the county sees the merit in moving forward with legislation for this particular project. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair to take comments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ronaldson. So as it was stated, this public hearing is if the public would like to make a statement to the County Board Committee, the Transportation and Public Works Committee, regarding whether we ask the state legislators to proceed with quick take. We cannot do it on our own. The committee has to decide whether we want the state legislators to continue with the process. Does anybody wish to speak to the committee on that item alone? I will start with Christy, and I apologize if I cannot pronounce your name properly. Christy Nasser, please come down.
Very loud. We need a microphone.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very loud.
And ma'am, the way this works, for the record, we'd like you to introduce yourself and state your name and then speak into the microphone so we have all the minutes.
My name is Christy Nasser. I own Chrisland Farm on 143rd Street in Homer Glen. I have 31 acres there. I'm right across from Reed School. I feel, first of all, that this whole idea of widening the road to 5 lanes is not something that this whole area needs, even though it is a county road. 355 allows people to come off of there very quickly. There's a squeeze process with a couple lights, but if people come off of 355 and come down right in front of my house, they're still doing 60, 70 miles an hour right in front of the school. I know you're talking about the quick deed, whatever it is, process. I own over 1,000 square feet on 143rd. I've been told that if they do this and take my land, they're going to move the fence, but they will not put my fence back up until after the project is done. I have livestock, so it has to be put up immediately. Also, I'm thinking that this whole area, this area that you're talking about widening the road is full of little farmettes, people with larger parcels of land. It is the area of Homer Glen that allows because the Homer Glen always says it's part of farm, and it's a whole mix of all different types of people living in houses and farms and industry and whatever like that. But this is the area that's kind of the open space, and I think it needs to stay the farmettes. I think you need to go to three lanes, which would be fine. You have a turn lane, slow it down a little bit, and you'll still get your traffic moving through. A lot of people come from 355 and cut through to Orland Park. So I think that it should be slowed down, do the 3 lanes. I'm from Burr Ridge originally, and I was on County Line Road there on 5 acres. They wanted to widen County Line Road, which was north of Plainfield, was on Plainfield Road, north of Plainfield Road rather, just north of I-55. My father, my mother, and I fought to keep it from widening the road on a county road. And when we did that, they stayed the 2 lanes, and then they also kept the speed limit slow. And as a result of my family and a couple of other people fighting to keep the 2 lanes on the county line road instead of being moved to 4 lanes, the real estate in that area increased. So it became an area from 355, actually Plainfield Road North. That area was very desirable, and it increased in value. I think you guys are missing the mark to slow people down through this area. It's going to increase the value, be a safety situation, and also it reduces people cutting through from 355 all the way over to Orland Park and cutting through and then going over and then going south and hitting 80. And so I think you guys need to think of that, considering it. Maybe it's a moot point at this point, but also I still think that, and I've also talked to police force too, and they think that going to the 5 lanes where we are is going to be just awful for accidents along that area. And we have a lot of elderly people, I'm one of them, that go slowly into our driveways and people are right on our butts, and hitting the horn. My last thing is that if you go to 5 lanes in in front of my house, and I have a full trailer of horses and I'm trying to pull out against 2 lanes of traffic going one way, I'm trying to hit that super median in the center to get on to go to the east. I could be in a major accident because I'm not going to be able to see. People are going to be speeding along that way. So it's a safety issue right along there too. It really is.
Okay.
So, but other thing is, the taking over that land, the acquisition. I mean, it might be happening, but you have to have my fence put in before you do anything. You can't take it out and just wait for the project to be done and I have no safety whatsoever.
Duly noted.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in to speak. Mary Woods, good morning. Is there a Mary Woods that okay.
Hi, Mary Woods. I live on 143rd and Oak, 15334 West 143rd Street. Now, is it going 4 lanes in front of my house? She's saying 5. I live right on the corner, so I know you're taking 15 feet of my property, which is driveway, trees, flowers. And then I know you're taking Oak Street from what I hear, there's supposed to be a turn lane there. What are you taking? I mean, you hear so much from everybody. I don't know. Is it 15 feet? How much are you taking off Oak Street? Am I going to be compensated for this land you're taking? Because you're going to be practically up to my living room.
Mr. Chairman, may I interject a quick moment?
Sure.
All these impact questions, a negotiator will meet with you at your property and go over the impacts of how far in, what the roadway improvement looks like, how many lanes, whether there's a turn lane, which 5 lanes just means 2 lanes in each direction and a turn lane in the middle. So that's what that means. But for specifics about your property, the negotiator is going to reach out to you in the very near future and go over all the little things on our plans that show how it's going to impact your property. So that will be happening very soon. We don't have those answers here today. We're just talking about the quick take legislation, but those particulars about the project, you'll hear about them very soon. If not, please contact my office, but I guarantee the negotiator will be reaching out very, very soon.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, ma'am, for coming in. Before we move on, there's a lot of folks that might not be able to hear. Out in the hallway, there's not enough seating. So it's my suggestion that we take a recess. There's a bigger, sorry?
I need to verify that we can. I don't see a problem, but like give me, like nobody can get in there for a few minutes.
Okay. We do have a bigger room, folks, with a lot more comfortable seating, and I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to hear and at least sit down and be part of this discussion. So let's move on to the next speaker, and then if we do get the other section open, we'll take a quick recess. We'll just all meander over there, and we'll get started right back. All right. Roman Braija. Good morning.
I come with my paper.
State your name for the record and go ahead.
My name is Roman Breja. This is my wife, Agata Breja. We are the owner of property 14304, 143 Street. And I have a question, but because I want to sell our property, but we can't. I explain why from beginning. We buy this land January and we want to do entrance. But Mr. Kyle tell me you can sell this land. You have to give us donation
For free.
for free. I have a paper over here, everything. Another thing, we're looking at help everywhere. Mr. Eric know this situation. And Mr. Kayo, we talked to the Homerglen city, and nobody wanted to help us.
Before we purchased the lot, I called to the Will County and I knew it that the street gonna be widening in the future. And it was so nice and easy telling, okay, if you purchase the land and after you want to do anything on the land, like some permit, it's easy. You will make a note, send it to the Will County, pay for the permit. But when we purchase and we started to that there is no entrance, Eric knew it, that there is no entrance to the land, but he told that there is no problem. You can get the permit in the Will County. After we purchased and we wanted to do something, then it started the problem. Because Kyle said from the Will County that you have to give us the 16 feet for free of your land, and then you can get the permit so you can have the entrance. So almost for a couple months, we couldn't do anything. We and our children, we were walking close to the road to get to our property because you cannot park the car on 143rd Street. So it's city road, it's not safety. And actually, everyone is saying something different on the phone. We have many emails and proof that now you want our property to get it like that you want to buy. And someone before is telling you that you have to give like for free.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am, if I may, this situation had coming up in a different location within Will County.
Okay,
And if I may, just
Okay.
may help you.
Mhm.
The same type of situation came up before. The county board worked really close with staff to try to rectify the situation. And the resident was actually paid for his property. This is a little bit of a different situation on why the public hearing
Can I?
is open.
Can I?
But it's also, there is the,
Because front of our property, it's barrier traffic. It's cover almost 80% our property. My entrance, my neighborhood entrance stick out front of our property. We don't have a place when you widening a road, we don't have place on the entrance. This is your plan, what I have. Another thing, if I go in, if I got entrance and try leave my property and try connection on south side of 43 Street, on the middle, it's 6 inches tall. I don't know, middle line, I don't know what it is, mid line,
Curb or something.
some curve. So I can turn left. My way is only right side. That's all.
Okay.
And another thing, I have a pickup truck, I have a trailer RV 34 feet, where I have to do U-turn. This is not safety. This is not safety. Another thing, stormwater. You wanna make 5 lines, move stormwater on our side of the property, then this water going on west side, go through my neighborhood land, and come back from mine. You make a flood zone on my property. And one more thing, what I wanted to say, another thing, if I give you my land, or sell you my and my wife land, so power line and gas line was on your property. Now stay on the middle, on the line. I can connect. If I sell you this land, so I need to get permit again. And I have approved. Will County doesn't want to give me a permit.
Okay.
You want to see paper, email? You
Yeah.
got everything over
and this
here.
is now like, we are the new owners. There are probably owners that they live many, many
And
years.
also I sent email to Eric. Eric K. Wessel, never answer.
Okay. Well,
We just pay taxes now. We can do
And
anything on
you
our.
guys doing R1 zoning, is residential zoning. We pay taxes for R1 zoning. So RY zoning, and what we can't say, we have a law get in entrance and safety entrance, but nobody want to talk with us. I'm finished. Thank you.
okay. At your request, I would like Mr. Ronaldson and staff to get together, have a meeting about this property. Sorry? My Siri's mad at me. I will take a personal effort to talk with Mr. Ronaldson and his staff and find out the truth of the matter, and hopefully with the work of the county board members in your district, we can get together and come try to find some kind of solution for that.
We are
Thank
trying
you.
to make the solution for
Thank you.
months.
Thank you. Do I need a motion to recess?
Yes.
Okay, at this time, just for the fact that we need a little bit more room, I would like to make a motion for a 10-minute recess.
Second.
First and second, roll call. Previous roll call. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
To the county board room, the main room.
Years since anyone that I've talked to or since we have received any information as to where this project is going. So I'm just kind of curious as to whether it's stalled or whether, I know the funding was there at the time, but in that interim, 159th Street was completed. And 159th, if anyone takes 159th East, it's now a superhighway. People do 65 miles an hour, and it alleviated a lot of the traffic coming off of 355 and a lot of the problems that were associated with trying to head east. So now that 159th Street is a superhighway, I'm curious as to whether 143rd even needs to be turned into a 5-lane road or a 4-lane road with bike paths. I wonder if this project has been revisited since there's more information on how people can actually get around town and get around to our area or leave our area. It just seems like it's a moot point to put a 6-lane or 5-lane highway on 143rd now that 159 is alleviated a whole lot of our traffic issues.
Okay. Like our director of transportation had stated earlier, any specifics towards the project should be the negotiator should contact the property owner as we move forward. So that's my quick answer to that. This strictly is to tell the committee whether you would like us to continue with asking our state legislators to quick take the property.
Okay, I was just curious though, as the meetings, like, did they cease or just we did not get information?
I'd have to get some information on that. I can't keep track of all that, but I'm sure the Will County Department of Transportation has followed every rule that they have to, and they're always encouraged to let the public know on every aspect of every project. So I can revisit that with.
And then our position is that we don't want a quick take.
Okay.
So if you're counting votes, then
Okay.
my wife and I said no.
All right.
So,
Thank
thanks
you.
for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, in case I'm not loud enough, I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak during public hearing? I'm seeing none. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing. We have a motion. Second, roll call, please.
Richmond. Logan. Williams. Van Dyne.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Okay, moving on to our agenda. We have 9 items to consider this morning. Starting with number 1, Lamont Road to west of Bell Road, County Highway 16. I have a motion. I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none? Roll call. We'll get a clean roll call on this.
Richmond.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Williams. Van Dyne.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Number 2, authorizing approval of supplemental professional services agreement. Motion will carry. Lastly, number 9, resolution for improvements by the county under the Illinois Highway Code for Kate Farm Maintenance Facility Salt Dome. Number 8 on our agenda, is there any other new business to be brought forward to this county committee? Mr. Ballage?
I have a problem with what's happening where I live, Homer Glen, Homer Township. And what I see going on is you have different road projects that basically want to move traffic from the expressways into Orland Park and into different areas of Cook County. You got Hadley Road, that's been a big argument for 4 or 5 months. Now 143rd's coming up, and we don't even, I know there's all kinds of people with driveways on that. So they're affected by this. Now, when you start looking at 143rd Street, it's gonna be a truck route, or going straight up east to Orland Park. We don't have a need for a truck route in Homer Glen. What's gonna happen, it's gonna go straight east. Now, I live east of Bell Road, and that project's already been done, but there's no driveways on that road. They're all subdivisions that connect to it. This part of the west part, we're talking about all kinds of people that have driveways. And then we have that one person that can't even get into their property. So we have a lot of issues there. But what road is next? Are they gonna make 151st Street a truck route? Are they gonna make 167th Street a truck route? You know, so there's a point in time when you have to say, just because you got warehouses and you got expressways behind you, and you want to move traffic, because that's the duty of IDOT, I guess, to move traffic as fast as they can. We can't have detrimental things happening to the people that already live there, that lived there for a long time. And so it's really frustrating when I'm looking at the big picture. If you just look at a little picture, you get one idea. Look at the big picture. Everywhere in this town, that's a small little town, it's mixed farm, and there's some businesses and stuff, but now you're gonna have truck routes everywhere. Is that what we really want? The people of Homer Glen don't want it, the people in the unincorporated don't want it, the people that live in Lockport are screaming bloody murder because their subdivisions are getting ruined from the trucks. So, I mean, I'm dead against moving forward until we can come up with a logical way to handle this. You know, there's a long, when this thing started probably about 6, 7 years ago, and they were gonna put raised barriers in on 143rd Street. And I'm not an engineer, but I took the time to research it, and I came up with something that was just as safe as raised barriers, and that was called a 2-wide left turn lane. And I don't know what it's called nowadays, because it's 6 or 7 years later. But if you did that, would just leave the road with 2 lanes, and 1 lane in the middle, like if you go into Mokino off of Wolf Road, there's a turning lane, so both sides use the same turning laning, and then you have a road and a road.
Okay.
But I mean, there's so many things that we should be discussing with this that we're just like rolling over, and it's wrong.
Steve, I would like to make a comment on that. I do know this committee and the county board every year will pass a 5-year transportation improvement program. I believe the committee did that earlier this year, which covered the years 2023 to 2028. Everybody on this committee and everyone on the county board has the opportunity to make those statements and vote yes or no to the entire program. But I'm sure Mr. Ronaldson would be able to pull that up and see when those items were put on the program. So that being said,
I agree, Joe, but you know what? When you look at a big giant plant, like I just said, until recently, I never saw the county trying to make truck routes in Homer Glen. I never thought of that even. Now I'm seeing that's the whole, just what's going on, that we want to make various truck routes. And I don't like it. And so when you say you got a big picture, the 20-year plan, the 5-year plan, that doesn't go into extreme details. You know, so I mean, when I'm just looking at what's the picture right now, and the picture for where I live and where I represent as a county board member is not good. It appears to me that they want to make our town full of different truck routes. And if you talk to, I don't know, like where you live, I don't think you have that problem yet. But if it happens here, it could happen by you. And I thought Hadley Road was bad, and now we're doing it again. We'll have another truck route, and I can just see what's going on. And so it's just wrong. We can still make the road go quicker without doing all this stuff.
All right, duly noted, Steve. Thank you.
We've had a situation come up regarding frontage, the ordinance where the resident is asked to give 60 feet. I'd like you guys to take that up on your agenda next month. We need to look at that and make a decision how we want to handle that going forward, because this is a situation we have. I think we need to look at it to decide if we want to make some changes to it, as well as the issue where we have the conflicting information. This is the second time, and not just the second time, but multiple times I've heard, that a resident, a landowner calls one department, and then they have to call the other department, and there isn't a cohesive thing. I don't know, it probably happens, but I don't know if we have a process where both departments sit down, highway department, land use, sit down and have a consultation of an issue as to how it's processing.
I can agree with
find
that.
There's a lack of connectivity there, so.
I mean, I can't say that I can agree with some of it. I think we do need to sit down and establish a process to where both departments can work in cohesiveness. But you're right, this did come up a second time, and I thought with the discussions that we had a remedy for that. We'll look deeper into it and see if this is the case and see if the committee can help.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And I keep turning off my agenda.